Welcome to another episode of Dueker Sports. I'm Christian Lunday, and right down there is my best friend Dylan Dueker. How are you doing, buddy?
Fantastic. Except I am feeling a little bit under the weather today.
Yeah, Idaho got you down.
It sure does. It's like 53. That's the warmest we've had it like all week. So, not
53.
great.
Oh my. It's like
I
103 here.
That's the benefits of Arizona.
Benefits,
No,
the hotter it gets, the less
that's fair.
beneficial I feel.
That's fair. No, it was like 60 something here yesterday, so I think so I shouldn't complain. But it's 50 today and I don't like it.
I understand. 50 is a little chilly. And as a desert dweller, I'm getting used to the heat, so 50 feel colder than usual. Well, today we got an awesome episode. We're going to do the top 10 quarterbacks heading into next season. Dylan and I made a top 10 list. Neither one has seen each other's lists. So I don't know what he put. He doesn't know what I put. And made a little Excel spreadsheet because that's part of my job. Whenever I put in the numbers for the hierarchy, we'll see each other's picks for quarterbacks. And this is going to get interesting because I'm pretty sure we're going to have some differences. I know who should be number one, and I have a feeling Dylan did not put him number one. So
What?
we're going to go.
What?
We're going to do this. This is going to be super awesome. I'm super
Fortunately,
excited.
you're in Arizona, I'm in Idaho, so there's going to be no fist fighting today.
Yeah, there's not going to be any fist fighting. And I do jujitsu, so we don't fist fight. We just go to the ground.
That's
We
fair.
just we're like that meme where it's like jujitsu people when they're mad, they just go to the ground and look like this, wait, waiting for people to fight them. It's like, come on, bro. But here we go, Dylan. Are you ready to
Do
start
it.
this?
Born ready.
All right, here we go.
Number 10.
Deshaun.
Oh!
Wow, we got the
Look
same
at
one.
that.
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
not disagree more with your answer.
I I'm shocked. I am honestly shocked. This is good,
Uh,
man. Deshaun's a baller, and as he, you know, gets past these off the field issues, which are pretty cumbersome and have tarnished his reputation to many, he is still an incredible talent at the quarterback position with the Browns. They traded for Amari Cooper, so he's got weapons. He's got one of the best running games in all of football. If he returns to his MVP-esque form, he easily moves up to the top 5 in this list, I think.
I agree. I put him at number 10 because we still don't know whether or not he's going to play, obviously. So I crunched some numbers. So for my list, it was like a what did you do for me lately kind of thing. I looked at the last 2 seasons each of these quarterbacks have played. I had to go back 2 years ago, obviously, for Deshaun Watson. But taking his final 2 years compared to the rest of guys on this list, I think he had like the third highest quarterback rating out of these guys. And that's playing for the Texans. And his last year for the Texans, they did not have any good receivers. And they had a horrible season. I think they went like 4-12, but he still put up good numbers. Cleveland, he's got Amari Cooper. He has not one of, he has the best ground game, in my opinion, in the National Football League. They bring in Amari Cooper, who I think is way better than Jarvis Landry. And I don't know why Odell did not work out last year, but I think Amari Cooper will be a good fit there. If Deshaun Watson can play, I think Deshaun Watson will probably be top 5, although he did take a year off. And as we saw with Le'Veon Bell a few years ago, that does matter.
Yeah, well, hey, I think I know why Odell didn't work last year, and his name rhymes with Saker Dayfield.
You, an Oklahoma fan, are accusing Baker Mayfield.
Hey, I love Baker. I think he's a great competitor. I wish he kind of is Drew Brees-esque to me, so I kind of wish he went to the Saints, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen, especially if Sean Payton's not there anymore. I don't know
Yeah.
very many avenues where Baker could go and actually succeed because the Browns certainly didn't set him up for success.
No.
But shall we move on to number 9?
Let's do it.
All right. Number 9. Here we go. Derek
Oh
Carr.
my gosh! Oh my gosh! This is
Okay.
incredible, folks. This is incredible. We're as surprised as you are. More surprised.
We are. I promise you, we did not look at each other's lists. We didn't collaborate at this. In fact, I made my list originally like 2 months ago and changed it up minorly given, new information, specifically Tom Brady coming out of retirement. But yeah, Derek Carr, he had one of the best seasons of actually the best season of his career, like 4,800 passing yards, was fifth in the league. He basically led his entire team despite all of these uh, external sort of adversity points in the Raiders locker room with the John Gruden issues. They had two, I think they had one wide receiver that got arrested, Henry Ruggs, who's in jail. And if you remember the impassioned speech by Derek Carr, he's like, "No one's gonna love this man. I will." I was like,
Yeah.
I want to run through a wall for you. And so that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, I've got Derek Carr number 9. I think that he performed extremely well in very difficult circumstances a year ago. Now he's got Devontae Adams coming to town, his friend back from college, his college days at Fresno State. I think we're going to see a big leap in Derek Carr. I think he's had 2 phenomenal seasons in his career. Last year was one of them. I expect Derek Carr to have the best season yet. I think the Raiders are going to be very competitive next year. They've still got Darren Waller, one of the best tight ends in the game. Now they've got a real number one wide receiver on the outside.
Yep.
Hunter Renfro can be more of the slot receiver that he really is. Phenomenal slot receiver at that. I am super excited to see Derek Carr play this season. I think that he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks. Every time he has a subpar season, everyone jumps on top of him. But I'm like, the guy has performed time and time again. He has never had anyone close to Devontae Adams.
Right.
This is going to be great.
And now he's got Josh McDaniels at the helm now, and that's an offensive guru right there. And this is exciting for me only because I'm refusing to be negative about how good the AFC West is going to be this next year. So I'm trying to stay positive. But yes, sir, Devontae Adams edition, fantastic. They're beefing up their defense, loading up on their offensive line. They've got a running game. They're going to be a good team next year. Someone to definitely watch.
I agree.
All right, number 8.
We go 3 for 3. Okay.
Oh, Joe Burrow for me, Matt Stafford for you. Here we go. Some differences.
Now we're going to have some debate because what in the world is Joe Burrow? He made the defending AFC champion doing a number 8.
Yeah, what do you have the reigning Super Bowl champion doing at number 8?
They
This
won that
dude
game
has
off of defense.
yeah, but that doesn't mean okay, they had this defense. This defense was good the year before Matt Stafford got there. What changed?
Well, I'm not
Oh,
saying
I
that
know the quarterback changed.
I'm not saying Jared Goff is ahead of Matthew Stafford on the list. I'm saying Joe Burrow is ahead of Matthew Stafford on this list.
He's not for me. He's fantastic. He's got great weapons. His offensive line for the Bengals now they've spruced it up, but I don't think I would take Joe Burrow ahead of Matt Stafford. I think I would take Matt Stafford ahead of Joe Burrow. I think he's got a more talented arm. I think that he has been the he's been the crutch of he was the crutch of the well, crutch would be a bad word, but he was the rock of the Detroit Lions for those entire years, but also somehow the scapegoat to the point where Rob Parker on ESPN would call him Stat Padford. And then he comes out the first year he left the Detroit Lions, he goes from Stat Padford to Matt Stafford and wins the Super Bowl. I, I don't think I would take Joe Burrow over him. I think I would take Matt Stafford over Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow is ranked
Okay.
number 8 on my list.
I was going to say that's fair, but it's not fair. But moving on to Matthew Stafford, I will defend Joe Burrow at a later time. That's a little bit of a head start, though. We'll get to that when we get to it. I think you'll be surprised. I got Matthew Stafford number 8 for a few reasons. I think Matthew Stafford's great. Seeing a guy's the 8th best quarterback in the National Football League, like it was hard for me to settle for a top 10 list. Because honestly, there's like 13 guys who I think were very deserving to be in the top 10 list. Unfortunately,
Oh yeah.
13 is too many. We aren't doing top 13 quarterbacks. So I had to put Matthew Stafford here at number 8. He's got a Super Bowl ring, well deserved. I cannot stand the Los Angeles Rams, but I love Matthew Stafford. That guy deserves a ring for all the suffering he did in Detroit. I think he played well. I've got him number 8 for a few reasons. One, on my list, he has the most interceptions, I should say, of any quarterback that's going to be on this list for me.
Yep.
He's a little bit of a gunslinger. I think that while he is great, I think that these guys ahead of him are better, or like they've been better, or they are going to be better. They're younger guys who are they're reaching their peak, and I feel like he's coming down. I get that he just won the Super Bowl, but it was not his best statistical season, even though it was a really good one. But it'll be interesting to see. He still has Cooper Kupp, so I still think he's going to tear it up. Cooper Kupp is sensational. But yeah, I think he's getting a little bit older. It'll be interesting to see. I'm pretty confident at having him an 8.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with he's starting to be on the decline. What is he, 32? He's like 31 or 32?
It's a good question.
Quarterbacks
Let's
are
look it
playing,
up.
I don't know, till 45?
Okay,
He's
not
got
quarterbacks plural. Quarterback.
he's Aaron Rodgers is gonna be 39, and Aaron Rodgers at 38 won the MVP last year. That means if Matt Stafford, are you checking it right now? If he's 32, that means he has 6 years left of prime real estate if he's gonna be equivalent to Aaron Rodgers' longevity.
He's never been equivalent to Aaron Rodgers in any capacity. He is
Longevity.
he is 34.
He's 34.
He's
Oh,
34.
darn
Yeah.
it. Quarterbacks are winning MVPs in their late 30s. I don't see an immediate decline for Matt Stafford. And Matt Stafford at 34, well, it still has a better arm than Joe Burrow will ever have. Joe Burrow
Whoa.
does not have the rocket arm. Joe Burrow has never passed for 5,000 yards. Joe Burrow doesn't have a Super Bowl. I'm
He's
sorry.
been in the league 2
Joe Burrow
years.
lost to Matt Stafford in the Super Bowl. The defense played well, but Matt Stafford came up with some clutch throws. So I'm sorry. I can't in good conscience take Matt Stafford or Joe Burrow over Matt Stafford. I have to take Matt Stafford over Joe Burrow.
Okay. I feel like we could debate about this for a long time. I'll defend Joe Burrow when he pops up on my list. Let's
Okay,
go to
so
number 7. Let's go to number 7.
I'm
You better
nervous
not do
now.
anything like that.
I'm gonna have a lot of people not on my list, and it's gonna cause some outrage, and I understand why. Oh, you have
Ooh.
Tom Brady at number 7. I have Russell Wilson.
That is 2 very phenomenal quarterbacks at number 7.
I know. Oh,
Jeez.
man.
Okay.
Okay. Let's hear your thoughts on Tom Brady and why he's at number 7.
Okay. So, like I said earlier, I took the last 2 seasons statistically, but that's not all that I've done. I kind of looked at where their teams are going into this season. I kind of just did the eye test. And the reason why I've got Tom Brady, and I'm like, he could prove me wrong, and he probably will. He typically does. But I've got Tom Brady number 7 because watching him in that game against the Rams, I dare say Tom Brady, the GOAT, looked human. He looked very human. He had some pretty bad throws. Tom Brady's never been mobile. He is anything but mobile now. And I just think that he's losing the arm a little bit. I think this will be the last season for Tom Brady. I think that game against the Rams was part of the reason why he retired. That's one of the worst games I've ever seen Tom Brady play. Now it was also against the Rams, the number 1 defense in the league. So he's not going to run into that all 17 games that he plays this year. But I do think he's on the decline. I've got my number 7. I would not say that I'm confident in that, but I do believe. I think when you see my top 6 guys, for me, it's hard to put Tom Brady ahead of them going into next season.
That's some good points. I dare say Tom Brady looked pretty human last year, or the season before this recent season. Whenever he forgot which down he was on, and then he went and won a Super Bowl. So I mean, I don't know. I'm nervous to bet against Tom, but I've got Russell Wilson, Mr. Unlimited, who looked pretty limited last year. had sort of a disappointing season. He missed 3 games with the Seahawks. But let's be honest, the Seahawks, outside of their wide receiving group, they had an ailing running backs. Their offensive line is not great. Their defense couldn't stop anyone. He had his career worst passing yards season last year. And some of this performance from last year is why he's not higher up on my list. But he doesn't turn the ball over. He only had 6 interceptions last year to 25 touchdowns. So that's a good touchdown interception ratio. Um, his deep ball is beautiful. He's got a great arm. He's extremely mobile. Before this past season, he was pretty much Iron Man. He knows how to keep himself healthy. Doesn't take a lot of hits. I expect with a much better roster with the Broncos, I expect him to do really well. Some people are saying the Broncos will win the AFC West next year. I don't think so. I think that's a little much, but their roster is fantastic. Their defense is young, and they're full of dogs. Their wide receiving core, pending Jerry Jeudy's legal situation, is pretty good, pretty stellar. Um, I expect Russell Wilson to come out this season and ball. So that's why I have him at number 7.
Yeah, I think I also agree. I don't think the Broncos are going to win the division. If they do win the division, I don't think it is because they are the most talented team in that division, but it would be because they had the easiest schedule in that division. I do think Russell Wilson obviously makes them extremely competitive, and they will be competing. I don't think anyone's going to be more than 2 or 3 games out by the time the season's over from winning the AFC West. That division, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to watch those teams play.
I can.
And
I
I
wanna
don't
I wanna
think this
be
is
reigning
the.
AFC West champ for a little while longer.
I think that we'll see plenty of more AFC West quarterbacks on our lists.
I think so. Speaking of our list, let's go to number 6.
Number 6.
I have Justin Herbert. You
Wow.
have Josh Allen.
I knew that I'm going to get a lot of flack for having Josh Allen number 6. I understand. I'll let you go first on this one. Why is Justin Herbert number 6?
Justin Herbert is number 6 because he is incredibly intelligent. He has a howitzer of an arm. He goes toe to toe with basically anyone. His only knock is that they didn't make the playoffs last year. But I have no doubt that he will, make the playoffs this season. I think the Chargers are going to finish number 2 in the division. I think the Chargers are going to make the playoffs this year. Their defense now is stacked. He's got a solid wide receiving core. Justin Herbert is everything you want in a quarterback. Massive arm, accurate, smart. He's got the aw shucks gee whiz personality of Tom Brady, where he's just your milk toast quarterback. He doesn't make any noise in the offseason. He puts his lunch pail, he sets it up ready for lunch. He puts his hat on, his hard hat, gets to work. He's just a man's man for a quarterback. And that's why I have him over Joe Burrow. I think he's better than Joe Burrow. I think he's better than Russell Wilson. This is the same guy who his very first game found out he was starting 5 minutes before the week 1 against the Chiefs. And he took us to overtime and threw 300 yards. I'm like, and he found out he was starting 5 minutes before the game. He has been a prodigy since he stepped foot in the NFL. And that makes me, it scares me. The Chargers, they scare me. I literally had a nightmare if they drafted Jordan Davis. I was like, we are going to lose. We are not going back to the Super Bowl ever, which is obviously an overreaction, but Justin Herbert is great. I take him over every single quarterback right now on this list that I have from 7 below.
So I have no knock on Justin Herbert. Think he's a phenomenal quarterback. I agree with everything that you said. The guy is very likable. He is a absolute superstar. Um, I don't have him number 6, but we may or may not see him coming up. Who knows? We'll see. I got Josh Allen number 6. And I know a lot of people are on this bandwagon and I love Josh Allen. Let me start off by saying that I love Josh Allen. He's probably one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. One of the nicest guys to me in the NFL. Does a lot of work with charity. Like, very active within the community. The recent shootings in Buffalo, him and his several teammates went out into the community and participated in some events. But when it comes to skill on the field, he is sensational, but I think that he's slightly overrated. And only saying overrated by saying that I think a lot of people were going to put him as a top 2 quarterback. And I do not agree with that. I do not think he's a top 2 quarterback.
Wouldn't be me.
I don't think we'll see. I'd be surprised if he's top 2 on your list. I bet you've got him like number 3, but we'll see. I got him number 6. I have him ahead of Tom Brady. So anyone who's freaking out thinking that I'm talking bad about Josh Allen, they need to calm down. I got him 1 ahead of the GOAT. Okay. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen had the 6th highest quarterback rating in his past 2 seasons that were on my list. He was one of the most winningest quarterbacks on that line in that lineup as well. But he does have Stephon Diggs. I think Stephon Diggs is sensational. Without Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen never looked that great. To be fair, every team needs a number 1 wide receiver. Any quarterback lacking a number 1 wide receiver is not going to look as great as when they have Stephon Diggs. But I don't think he's as great of a passer as the guys I've got 1 through 5, plain and simple. I think he's more mobile than some of them. I think he's an all-around great player. Once again, it's like I said about Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford. It's like I'm not knocking these guys. I've got him number 6 and out of 32 starting quarterbacks coming into this league. He is one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. I just would not put him on the level of a few of the guys that we're going to get to later. I don't know. Now, if he was on like the Kansas City Chiefs or the last few years or a team like that just loaded, and even Cincinnati, they had no offensive line, but the receivers on Cincinnati's team last year are sensational. Josh Allen's never had that level of talent around him. But so maybe if he did, I'd have him higher on this list. But I'm just using what I've seen so far. And he had his quarterback rating is below 100. It's 99, but it's like 99.7. But the guys that have him on this list either have a higher than 100 or they're going to have way higher than 100 going into this next season.
Hey, those are good points. I think that's I'm interested to see the rest of your list because those are some good points. Kind of persuading me a little bit, making me a little bit nervous about the rest of my list. But you know what? No, I'm going to stand firm on my list. We're going to go to number 5. Speaking of 5, Justin Herbert, second in passing yards, over 5,000 yards passing last year. Monster. Here we go. Oh,
Okay.
Matt Stafford for me at number 5. Russell Wilson for you at number 5.
2 guys we've already seen on the other lists.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you why I've got Russell Wilson number 5. I think Russell Wilson is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. Going into last year even, I think I had him number 2.
Yeah.
I just think Russell Wilson is sensational. He does not turn the ball over. He's extremely accurate. He has had a very bad offensive line every single season of his career. It hasn't slowed him down at all. He is sensational. I'm pretty sure. Let me look here. Yes, he is the 2nd highest quarterback rating, excluding Deshaun Watson's final 2 years because that's from 2 years ago. But he had the 2nd highest quarterback rating of all the players on the top 10 list in Seattle. And people love DK Metcalf, and he is a sensational player. That's another really great player that I think is a little bit overrated. I don't think DK Metcalf is an all-around great wide receiver like some of the other guys we have in this league.
Yeah.
He disappears some games, and so does Tyler Lockett. I don't know how. They're both sensational talents, but every now and then they disappear, and sometimes they do it at the same time. And I don't blame Russell Wilson for wanting out of Seattle. He's getting up there in age as well. He needs protection. He has asked for it year after year. He has not gotten it year after year. He's going to go to Denver. I don't know that the receiving core is better, but I think it's a significantly better offensive line. And I think that we're going to see Russell Wilson just unleash havoc on the NFL next year. They have one of the easier schedules in the league, non-divisional schedules in the league. They have probably the hardest divisional schedule. But I think we're going to see Russell Wilson put up the best numbers of his career this year.
Uh, I agree with all the adulation you gave Russell Wilson. Um, Broncos are going to be a great team, and he's going to be the engine that moves them. I have Matt Stafford at 5 because it's not necessarily like it. I don't think this is recency biased as he won the Super Bowl. It's now that he's great talent. He's always been a great talent. He's tough as nails. He's got the stats. He's got the ring now. But the biggest thing about going into next season is he's got a Super Bowl winning team. The team around Matt Stafford is incredible. Their defense is insane. As long as Aaron Donald's there, they're terrifying. They've got the Super Bowl MVP in Cooper Kupp, who I think just had the greatest season for a wide receiver ever. I think that their offensive line, Sean McVay, the genius that Sean McVay is on offense, all they've got all the ingredients to be a very great team. I do think that they're going to face way more adversity this year. Um, it's hard to get back to the Super Bowl. It's hard to win the Super Bowl when you get back there. I don't know if they'll have the same success, but I know that from this point, moving into next season, they are poised for perhaps maybe the most success in the NFL. And I think a lot of that is due to Matt Stafford and his play because he's a fantastic talent at quarterback he hasn't been in the limelight for so many years because he played for Detroit and his talent was wasted. Calvin Johnson left to retire at prematurely, we all think, and Matt Stafford's there keeping the ship steady for a healthy dose of 1 to 2 wins every year. But besides the point, keeping the ship steady, still putting up big numbers. Yeah, just an amazing talent. I would take him at this point on his team over all of these other quarterbacks.
I think that's interesting. I think one thing that you reminded me of talking about the talent around Matthew Stafford, I think it got a lot worse in the offseason. They lost Robert Woods and Odell Beckham Jr. They replaced them with Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is a completely different player than either of those guys. I think Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp made a great duo. Like the chemistry was surreal between those two guys. And I'm like, I really think that the talent level around the Rams is going to go down. I'm pretty sure that Whitworth retired along the offensive line. That guy is phenomenal. Offensive lineman played until he was 40,
Yep.
still playing lights out. We don't see that from offensive linemen ever. So, but I think that Matthew Stafford is going to take a dip in production, and and I think the Rams as a whole are going to have a dip in success. But it won't be, once again, I think the defense will carry this team. And that's why I had Matthew Stafford down at 8 on my list.
Well, look, I think that those are good points. I know that Allen Robinson basically is coming in and replacing Robert Woods, but they haven't. Although Odell Beckham is technically a free agent, he hasn't signed with anyone else. He's hurt. There's still a good chance he goes back to the Rams. I don't blame him for it. He's wanted to be in LA basically his entire life, uh, and it's a good fit for him. They have the space to pay him, and it's everything that he wants. He's got a great quarterback with a big arm, lots of money, and in a place that he loves to live. I don't see him any reason why he would leave LA unless he's trying to win another chip with another team with a more competent quarterback who's on 1 through 4 on my list. That I would understand. But yeah, they haven't technically lost Odell Beckham, and I think Allen Robinson is a very good replacement for Robert Woods. I think Allen Robinson has been, unfortunately, the just been on unfortunate teams like the Jaguars and the Bears are playing one quarterback after another, and so his career has really just been an impressive number of 1,000-yard seasons with below average quarterbacks. So, I'm hoping that with Matthew Stafford, he can finally get some recognition as because he's a fantastic route runner. Watch the tape. He is great, a fantastic route runner. Pair that with Cooper Kupp, another fantastic route runner, and if they get Odell back and re-sign him, that's a great wide receiving core. I'd take that 10 out of 10 days a week if that's what was offered on my team. So I think they might take a dip, as in it's going to be really hard to have the emotional zeal to get up and play football every day after winning the Super Bowl because you get content and complacent. I don't think they take a huge dip.
They also have Van Jefferson on that team, and I know you're talking about Allen. I like Allen Robinson. I hope he individually succeeds for the Rams. I don't want to see the Rams win another Super Bowl, that's for sure. But he is coming off of a horrendous season in Chicago. And I'm not blaming him because Chicago hasn't had a good quarterback. Like Jay Cutler might be the best quarterback Chicago's ever had, and that's pretty bad statistically. I'm not.
Yeah,
I think that was it Jim McMahon that led them to the Super Bowl?
I well, a Super Bowl win. Yeah, they've been to
Yeah,
another
I'm not
Super.
talking about Rex Grossman. I'm not talking about Rex Grossman here. Uh, yeah, I think Jay Cutler, best statistical quarterback they've ever had. That's pretty sad. Smoking Jay Cutler, no disrespect, but Allen Robinson, I think he had like 200 and something yards receiving last year. I'm not sure about that, but it's like it was some horrendous number like that. I hope that he will be better for the Rams, but I do not think he replaces Robert Woods and Odell Beckham Jr. I don't know if the Rams are going to bring back Odell Beckham Jr. My faith on that is actually quite low. I feel like they would have done that already. We're about to head into June, and he's still on the open market, so we'll see what happens with that situation.
I put that more up to his injury than anything else, but definitely a solid point. All right, number 4. I have
Okay.
Tom Brady and you have Justin Herbert.
All right, give us your take for Tom Brady.
All right. If you saw my MVP list, you know I actually had Tom Brady as my MVP. This guy was 44 and threw for 5,000 yards. Um, he's coming back to the Buccaneers, who still have tons of playmakers on their offense. I mean, I know they lost Rojo to the Chiefs, and I think they lost Chris Godwin, but they still have Mike Evans. They still, I mean, he's still so many weapons on offense. They're still loaded. Okay, the only really big loss they had was their head coach moving up to the president position and Todd Bowles taking over. Whom Todd Bowles is awesome. He's a great coach. I would love to play for that man. Tom Brady is still Tom Brady, and every year that I think, oh, he's not going to be good, every time, his arm strength has been limited, has decreased. It's looking more like a noodle every year. But somehow with a half noodle arm, he throws for 5,000 yards. I'm sorry. That's incredible. And until he really starts to show actual statistical decline outside of the eye test, because we all see it, he can't throw 80 yards anymore consistently. I mean, 80 yards is a stretch, but
Yeah.
still, he can't throw deep consistently anymore. But he's still got the brain that has never left him. He's still got the anticipation and the timing has never left him, and he's got a good enough arm to get it to his weapons during that time. So I he can play as long as he wants if those 3 or 4 things never leave him. So
Yeah.
I still have Tom Brady at number 4.
So Chris Godwin actually re-signed with the Tampa
Oh,
Bay
did he?
Buccaneers.
Okay.
I think it was right after Tom Brady announced he's coming back. However, Rob Gronkowski sounds like he might be retired. We never know what Rob Gronkowski is doing. I feel like
He's
he may
filming
or
really
may
bad
not be.
commercials.
That well, he's doing that. That's one thing we do know he's doing. But yeah, if he doesn't come back, I think that does change the game. Rob Gronkowski is, in my opinion, a top 2 tight end of all time. Argument for being number 1. So without him, I think that the Buccaneers would look a little bit different. Tom Brady won't have his security blanket that he's had for a very long time. Yeah, so I still think Tom Brady's going to be great, even though I got him at number 7. But I've got Justin Herbert number 4. I told you I like Justin Herbert when you were talking about him. I love Justin Herbert. I think Justin Herbert is one of the most elite quarterbacks in the league right now. I've got him number 4, and I think that he's going to be. I don't see him climbing much higher than 4, as long as my 1 through 3 are still in the league. But right now, Justin Herbert to me is better than all of these guys on this list. Josh Allen's phenomenal. I know most people would disagree with me having Josh Allen below Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert is a sensational quarterback. He plays the game so well, so well. He limits turnovers. Josh Allen does turn the ball over a little bit more than Justin Herbert. He is also mobile, not in the way that Josh Allen is. Josh Allen's a lot more of a powerful runner, even though he's a quarterback. Justin Herbert is a little more elusive, but I don't know, just one of the top quarterbacks in the league to me. I think that he's got the Chargers set up for long-term success. I think that he will have a better career than Philip Rivers. I think he'll surpass every career record as long as he can stay healthy that Philip has set for the Chargers.
Valid points. I have no shade for Justin Herbert. I only ask and beg that he go easy on me this year. That is my big request. Here we
It's
go, number 3.
about to get
This
interesting.
there's some fireworks here, I think. You have Joe Burrow, and number 3, I have Aaron Rodgers.
So I am shocked. This means that you do have Josh Allen in your top 2.
I
I am
know.
surprised by that. I did not expect you to put Aaron Rodgers in number 3. I know you like Aaron Rodgers. You love Patrick Mahomes. You really like Aaron Rodgers. So I expected those to be your top 2 quarterbacks.
I would never date him.
You never would. No.
No.
Rate, date, hate. Rate 10. Date, no. Hate, nah. I got Joe Burrow number 3. I want to get right to this. Whoa, got ahead of myself. Joe Burrow will be the next Tom Brady. I look at Joe Burrow, I see a killer instinct that I've only seen in the NFL from one other quarterback. That is Mr. Tom Brady, the GOAT himself. I think Joe Burrow is gonna he's gonna wreak havoc for the next decade plus in Cincinnati. The receiving core he has, oh my gosh, arguably the best receiving core in the football, like in National Football League right now. Then they go out, bring in at least 4 starting new linemen. I think possibly all 5 positions are going to be new players. Now that sounds daunting. Oh, they're not going to have chemistry. They're all 5 really talented players. That's what the offseason's for. That's why we have preseason. If that offensive line stays healthy, he was the most sacked quarterback in the league the last 2 seasons. He goes in now. He has a whole new offensive line, and his receiving core is just as good, but they are more experienced, and I think they're going to be even better. Joe Burrow could win MVP this year. In fact, I would put him, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Way too early MVP pick for me is Joe Burrow. I've got him winning the whole thing this year. They might win the Super Bowl. He might have one heck of a year this year.
Oh my gosh. So many hot takes, Dylan. The next
Hot
Tom
takes.
Brady might win the Super Bowl this year. Got the MVP locked up already.
You know what? I want to go ahead and take care of this. We don't say might here on Dueker Sports. We say do or do not. Joe Burrow will win the Super Bowl. Joe Burrow will get the MVP. Joe Burrow will be the next Tom Brady. You may continue.
Joe Burrow will not be the next Tom Brady, especially as long as my 3-1 players are still playing. Aaron Rodgers, the MVP last year. I had him as number 2, but the voters, I'm not a voter, and the voters disagreed with me, made him the MVP. I'm sorry. Aaron Rodgers, better than Joe Burrow. His team is worse this year, I would say. They drafted Christian Watson to replace Devontae Adams, but their defense is really, really good. Jair Alexander missed some games last year, and he's going to be back fully healthy. Their defense is stellar. I think they beefed it up really well in this draft. They obviously got an absolute freak athlete at wide receiver to replace Devontae Adams and Christian Watson. I think it will take time for Watson to develop, and then even further to develop a repertoire with or develop a rapport with Aaron Rodgers. But Aaron Rodgers, what? I mean, the guy has won back-to-back MVPs, and we're going to say definitively that Joe Burrow not only will win the MVP again, but will win the Super Bowl. He's going to go back-to-back Super Bowls and win one, the one after he loses. I don't think so. I think there's a chance that either Aaron Rodgers leads his team behind a freaking awesome defense to the Super Bowl, or these next 2 quarterbacks I have on my list beat Joe Burrow out for a Super Bowl berth.
I'm going to pull a Charles Barkley right now, and I'm going to say, stick with my guns. And I that was not a soundbite, folks. That was Christian. That was pretty spot on. That sounded just like him. I'm gonna guarantee what I just said about Joe Burrow. The guy's got the best team of the guys that I got 1 through 3. I think he's the third most talented quarterback in the league right now, but he has the best offense for dang sure. The guy, my top 3 picks, he gonna put up some numbers. He could throw for 50 touchdowns this year. I would not even be slightly surprised.
Look, out of all the things you said, Joe Burrow winning MVP is the most realistic, I think. I don't think he's the next Tom Brady, but I can see why he looks the part. The eye test. I personally think he reminds me of Tony Romo more than Tom Brady, just by his mobility. Um, but yeah, MVP, 50 touchdowns. That seems realistic to me, believe it or not. Um, but next Tom Brady, little much. I don't think I can get on that board.
It's the killer instinct. I'm not saying he's gonna win 7 Super Bowls. I think he'll win probably 2 or 3. I think that you just come in with a killer mindset that he has because he's not going to have Bill Belichick. Tom Brady is the best quarterback of all time. He also benefited from having the best coach of all time. Both look at what the Patriots did with Mac Jones. Like both of those two guys have had extreme success without the other, even. I think Mac Jones is playing well beyond his talent and his years. Tom Brady, of course, got another Super Bowl ring. So I don't think anyone wins 7 Super Bowls without having the best quarterback and the top head coach. So unless if I don't think Zach Taylor is a Bill Belichick. So Bill Belichick decides to leave New England and go to Cincinnati, then I might say he could win 5 to 7 Super Bowls. But I think for sure he'll win at least 2 in his career. I think this year, like comfortably, he'll throw 40 some odd touchdowns. I would probably predict right now if the whole team stays healthy, 48 touchdowns at least for him. And I do think he's going to take with an MVP. And I have them winning because I honestly think the only real weakness they had, I'm not gonna say cornerback on defense. It wasn't great, but it wasn't horrific either. They got picked apart in the Super Bowl, but that was by Cooper Kupp, who, like you just said, may have had the best receiving season in NFL history. So Eli Apple's not going to be guarding Cooper Kupp for 17 weeks next year, and he better be thanking God for it because it would have happened time and again. But I think the Bengals would have won that game last year had their offensive line stepped up, protected Joe Burrow. He has the offensive line now. He's going to put up some big numbers this year.
You know, I hear you. I hear you. I'm not quite on board, but you know, it's not a bad argument. It's a good argument.
Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Michael Jordan.
Don't
I
even.
take that back. I
Don't
take that
even.
back.
If you
That was
disrespect
too much.
Michael Jordan further,
That's the only thing. I wanted to show you what hyperbole really looked like, and that's only a minor one.
okay.
I'm doing Dabo Sweeney. I'm going Dabo
Whatever.
Sweeney. I'm not talking about Deshaun Watson. The Michael Jordan of the NFL is Tom Brady. But now it's going to be Joe Burrow. That
What?
man is a man's man. He walked
No.
into the Super Bowl. He looked unrattled. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah,
he's
until he
a
got hit in the mouth by Aaron Donald.
I think he's still bad man. As Stephen A. Smith would say, he's a bad man. I
That's
stick
Aaron
with it.
Rodgers, actually. That's my number 3 on the list.
Oh,
Which
okay.
there's only 2 more spots, so he's higher on your list. He's somewhere here.
He could be 11.
He I don't think he is. All right, number 2. Oh,
Hey.
Dylan.
What?
I got Josh Allen, you got Patrick Mahomes, number
Mm-hmm.
2. I want to hear your reasoning why Patrick Mahomes is number 2.
Why he's number 2 or why he's not number 1?
Why he's above all the other quarterbacks on your list and why he's not number 1.
I'll begin with why he's not number 1. I'm not going to give number 1 to a guy who runs backwards in the AFC Championship time and time again, taking unnecessary sacks for 8+ yards. Patrick Mahomes, he is the most talented quarterback in the National Football League. Pure talent, he is. Unfortunately, I think his ego surpasses his talent. I think he takes unnecessary sacks. He could be probably the best quarterback of all time. if he would just play the game the right way. He unnecessary throws, unnecessary throws, no look passes for no reason that they get intercepted because the receivers aren't ready for them. He cares more about making the highlight reel play than he does winning the game, and it cost him. He plays superhero ball. It's like I loved Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz the last few years, he's been playing superhero ball. He's nowhere near the talent level of Patrick Mahomes. And we see like everyone's jumping on him. I think without Tyreek Hill, Patrick Mahomes better not keep doing the same things that he's doing now, or he will not be number 2 on my list next season. He may drop out of the top 5 because Joe Burrow is nipping at his heels, and he's going to win the MVP in the Super Bowl this year. And there's going to be a lot of conversation if Patrick Mahomes does not start to make the right play, the winning play. I think they could have beaten the Bengals had he not kept running backwards. You don't turn your back on the line of scrimmage. He did it multiple times. But I do got him number 2. I'll take no more shots. Now I'm going to build him up. I got him number 2 because he's the most physically gifted quarterback possibly that I've ever seen. I think the best quarterbacks that I've seen, that I've watched personally, are Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. This guy has the same level of, no, he has a higher level of arm talent than both of those guys, and he is more mobile. The only thing holding him back are the fundamentals. And I know he knows them. He just has got to stop going for the highlight reel plays. I don't know what that's about. I'm like, this guy, my goodness, he is sensational. Also, I just realized Aaron Rodgers is pretty close to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. I would put him 3rd right now on that list. If he gets another Super Bowl ring, he and Peyton Manning are going to be pretty close. But yeah, the 2 best right now, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. I think Patrick Mahomes is more physically gifted than both of them. If he reaches the level of maturity and just, I don't even know, like understanding of the game that those 2 guys have, yeah, the Chiefs are going to be unstoppable forever. Because I think he is the reason the Chiefs are so good, but he's also the reason why they aren't even better. And I just think that like if Andy Reid can get through to him and get him to play the game the right way, the fundamental way, it's like Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. That's what we'll see out of Patrick Mahomes. He could be the best quarterback of all time when it's all said and done. I don't know that he will do that. I think we'll see him play exceptionally well his entire career. I think he has a very long career ahead of him. But looking at him right now, I just don't think that he'll be on the level of Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning. Like, I think he's more of like a Brett Favre kind of level of guy right now when I look at him, which is no knock. I think Brett Favre is top 5 quarterback of all time. But Patrick Mahomes, that's why I've got him number 2. That's why he's not number 1. He is better than everyone right now that's on my list 3 through 10. And he's beating out sensational guys. He's beating out Tom Brady and the next Tom Brady. I've got him number 2.
All right. I've got Josh Allen number 2. Josh Allen had one of the best postseasons I've ever seen in my entire life. He had a quarterback rating the entire postseason. He played 3 games. Quarterback rating for all 3 games, 149. He even had a Kurt Warner game where he had more touchdowns and incompletions. He participated in and barely lost perhaps the greatest football game ever. It's the best football game I've ever seen. He was 13 seconds away from going to the AFC Championship. And I think Josh Allen is more physically gifted than everyone on this list except for Patrick Mahomes. And Patrick Mahomes is just a sliver better than him because he is way more accurate. Accuracy has always been Josh Allen's problem. Josh Allen has just as strong of an arm. He's got a rocket arm. He's way more mobile. I don't know if you know this, but the most explosive runs, I think, was measured. Every single person from 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 were like running backs. Number 2 was freaking Josh Allen. He had the second most explosive runs the entire season. I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Someone at his size, his physicality, the position he's playing, and he has the second most explosive runs the entire season. Not to mention his postseason performance got better. It was better than his regular season performance. We love to see that. We love to see that in any sport. you're great in the regular season, but when it's time to win and put your hat on and go out there and you can't lose, if you lose, you go home, you play even better. That is a great trajectory of Josh Allen's career. I think after this postseason, he established himself as the second best quarterback in the league. He got farther than Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. He's played better than every quarterback on this list in the playoffs, I think, this past season. His quarterback rating was best in the playoffs this year. His performance was incredible. The game against the Chiefs, look about how many throws he missed. He didn't miss very many. The dude threw almost 500 yards, if I remember. I think he threw over
I'm
450.
looking at it right now. He threw in the playoff game. He went 27 of 37, 329, and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, insane. There's that one wide receiver who had like 200 yards receiving against us.
Gabriel Davis, I think.
Yep. Good Lord, that ticked me off to no end.
If it's not Dawson Knox, it's Gabriel Davis. What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
I don't know. Those aren't even like the two best wide receivers on their team. This dude's feeding them the ball. He's got an amazing arm, incredible talent. To me, second best quarterback in the league. And that postseason, specifically that game against the Chiefs, proved it. If it weren't for, a couple years ago when the Chiefs lost to the Patriots in overtime after we came back to tie it in the AFC Championship, we petitioned the league to, hey, change the overtime rules. I'm personally wasn't that big of a fan, but the Chiefs did it anyway. And the Bills owner, as with every other owner, rejected it. Said, no, we're not changing the overtime rules. But Josh Allen is so good that when he lost in the same fashion we did to us in overtime, the Bills are like, let's change the overtime rules. And all the other owners were like, yeah, let's change the overtime rules. So he's that good. Patrick Mahomes couldn't even do that. So, yeah, second best quarterback in the league.
That's fair. I think there is definitely an argument for him being number 2. I stand firm with him at 6 going into next season. He might be my favorite quarterback in the league, honestly.
I am preparing.
So, real quick,
everything that you said.
What's going to happen if Aaron Rodgers is not number 1?
I'm 99.99% sure he is your number 1. He just won MVP. I don't think you would put the reigning MVP at 11. I didn't think you would put him at 1 because I know you're not a big fan of Aaron. You respect his talent. But that's about it. That's as far as it goes. But I'm pretty sure you have him at number 1, and everything you said about Patrick Mahomes is going to come back to bite you because I'm going to say the exact same thing about Aaron Rodgers.
I will say he's either number 1 or he is number 11. And I do want you to consider one thing. This list is for quarterbacks next season. And Aaron Rodgers lost Davante Adams, and Jalen Hurts got A.J. Brown.
Jalen Hurts is not the best quarterback going into next season.
Then let's reveal who is. Oh my gosh, it's Aaron Rodgers. I almost thought I put Jalen Hurts. No, I have Aaron Rodgers number 1. And I'm going to tell you why. Want to know why? I'll tell you why. The man has won back-to-back MVPs. Phenomenal. I don't know what you're talking about because Aaron Rodgers does play the game the right way, in my opinion. I don't know what you're talking about. And now, here's my only downfall for Aaron Rodgers is he is going to be without Davante Adams. Christian Watson for Davante Adams, oh my goodness. You and a lot of other Chiefs fans I saw were talking about wanting Christian Watson on the Chiefs. You should be happy that he did not go there because
I wanted him at the right price, and it was definitely not the first round or the second round.
So, well, I don't know. I think he was never going to fall out of the second round, in my opinion. But Davante Adams is one of the better. He's not. I wouldn't put him as the best, but he is one probably top 5 wide receivers in the past decade easily. Christian Watson is nowhere near that level. I think he'll look pretty good with Aaron Rodgers. But when Rodgers hangs it up, I think that Christian Watson will decline drastically. But I think Aaron Rodgers, I got number 1 overall because with Tom Brady, I think declining now, Aaron Rodgers has assumed the throne for me. I think last year he looked better than Tom Brady. I think Tom Brady deserved the MVP just because I'm pretty sure he led the league in touchdowns, and I'm certain that he led the league in yards, which is why I gave him MVP. But talking about efficiency, I think that Aaron Rodgers was the most efficient quarterback. Aaron Rodgers has 3 seasons of 120 quarterback rating or higher. I'm pretty sure the only other player who's ever done that is Patrick Mahomes. And I'm not even 100% sure that he did it, but he did when he won MVP. But Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and he does not. I didn't think that he necessarily looked in decline. So many distractions on that team last year, and the biggest one of the vaccination status, which I think got blown a little bit out of proportion. I can see why people are frustrated, but I'm like, that was a headline for far longer than it needed to be. But Aaron Rodgers is the Green Bay Packers. Look no further than when Jordan Love started a game against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Oh my gosh. Like, I get that you're not going to be Aaron Rodgers, but that was pitiful. They couldn't move the ball at all. Aaron Rodgers is that entire team. And I think that's why he's going back to Green Bay. The Green Bay would have done anything he asked if he had said, you have to fire Gutenhurst or whatever his name is. The Packers would have done so because they saw what life without Rodgers could look like, and nobody wanted to live that nightmare. Aaron Rodgers is the number one quarterback in the league right now. I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm going to give him the respect that he deserves. I think he's still better than Patrick Mahomes. He's not as physically gifted as Patrick Mahomes is right now. Honestly, the only person to me that, like when I talked about earlier about Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, I think Aaron Rodgers is a lot closer to the physical talent that Mahomes is whenever Rodgers was in his prime. And Rodgers is the fundamental kind of player. So like Aaron Rodgers to me is what Patrick Mahomes could be if Patrick Mahomes starts to play the game the right way. I think he'll have an Aaron Rodgers type career. He'll surpass his numbers because he'll have more seasons starting. But Aaron Rodgers is Patrick Mahomes with fundamentals. That's why I've got him number one overall.
Look, no shade at Aaron Rodgers here, except there will be shade because of what you said about Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, point one, doesn't play the game. I'll put it this way. You said he is also the biggest. He's the biggest reason why they're good, but he's also the biggest reason why they haven't been as good as they should be.
Yeah,
pretty much. No, that is not true. Have you seen our defense? Our defense is terrible. We got one sack against the ailing Bengals offensive line. Our defense is bad. And that's the reason we went basically all defense this draft this year. So it is not Patrick Mahomes' fault that we aren't as good as we should be. I'm pretty sure 6 to 8 of his throws last season were passes that should have been caught and they were dropped, and those drops actually turned into interceptions, which means Patrick Mahomes' efficiency should have been like this if those receivers caught those balls. And Tyreek Hill, the guy we just traded away, should have he was on the receiving end of 4 of those. Maybe 5, if I remember correctly. But he was our biggest culprit. Yeah. Does he play a little bit loose? Yes. Brett Favre is the perfect comparison for Patrick Mahomes because they play the exact same way. Andy Reid has said it. I trust Andy Reid's opinion over everyone else's. He coached both of them. That's the type of player he wants, though. He wants the gunslinger. He wants the guy who's a try-hard. Patrick Mahomes running around is not him accepting defeat. It's him trying to do too much. And his footwork can always improve. His footwork was the worst thing about his scouting report, and it still needs work. So I'm not gonna knock him there, but he is. Aaron Rodgers used to be the most talented quarterback I have ever seen. He was the greatest by every eye test measure that I saw in my entire life until Patrick Mahomes stepped foot. That first preseason he came in the league, he was running to his right, had a 60-yard bomb to Demarcus Robinson in the preseason, and I was like, we are dealing with somebody different. And every single game that he's played, every year, he has made me realize he is the greatest quarterback as far as talent I have ever seen. He is more accurate than Josh Allen. He has a bigger arm than Aaron Rodgers. He has an efficiency rating close to Aaron Rodgers. He is the most productive quarterback in the first years of starting ever. He's the fastest to 10,000 yards, fastest to 15,000 yards. He'll be the fastest to 20,000 yards. Without Tyreek Hill, he's 4-1, averages 300 yards passing, and has only thrown one interception to like 3 or 4 touchdowns per those games. So he can succeed without Tyreek Hill. It's a small sample size, so I'm not going to extrapolate it to an entire season, but he can win. He's shown that he can win. He's shown that he can play without Tyreek Hill, and he shows that he can succeed and play well without Tyreek Hill, which is rare for quarterbacks that are missing a top elite target like Tyreek Hill is. He is the best quarterback in the league. He's better than Joe Burrow. He's better than Aaron. I gave Aaron his flowers a long time ago when you refused because you still gave it to Tom Brady. I didn't. So Aaron Rodgers got his flowers from me. So I don't feel like I need to give him the first place spot here, even though he's won back-to-back MVPs. Patrick Mahomes has still a pretty good receiving core with Juju, MVS, McCole Hardman. They still got some weapons. They're still super speedy. They still got Travis Kelce. There's still going to be a really good offense. They
Sky
got
Moore.
CEH, still going to be a good offense. Going into next year, Patrick Mahomes, going into every year, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the best quarterback in the league until probably the day, maybe 2 or 3 years before he retires. So that means for the next 15 or so years, the NFL needs to be shaking in their boots every single year because this guy, he does have the killer instinct. I'm sorry, the guy in the Super Bowl who called with the fourth down throw in the Super Bowl against the San Francisco 49ers, was that Joe Burrow calling that play or was that Patrick Mahomes? Oh, it was Patrick Mahomes. He's got the killer instinct. He decided the game-changing play in the Super Bowl that helped us win the game, the wasp play to Tyreek Hill. He made that play along with Tyreek Hill. He played and won probably the best football game I've ever seen. 13 seconds left. He went back and tied the game against the second best quarterback in football, which was Josh Allen. Then he won the game in overtime against the second best quarterback in Josh Allen. Joe Burrow cannot even sniff his shoes. All right. Basically, no one can. He's already been to 2 Super Bowls, which is way more apparently than Aaron Rodgers has been to in the last 10 years. So I'm sorry. It's not close for me other than Josh Allen. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback going into this season.
If Aaron Rodgers had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid calling plays, he would have won more Super Bowls than Aaron Rodgers.
The boy had Greg Jennings and Donald Driver and Jordy Nelson. And Devontae Adams was on that team with Jordy Nelson towards the end of those years, I'm pretty sure. He had weapons. Don't even give me that. He had a better running game than we did. The year we won the Super Bowl, our running game was terrible.
Other than Devontae Adams, none of those receivers are as good as Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, to me, isn't the best receiver in the league. He is the most unguardable receiver in the league, though. Aaron Rodgers has never had a guy like that. Devontae Adams is phenomenal. Might be the best route runner in the league. Arguably, he is. But he doesn't have the speed of Tyreek Hill. But look what he did with Devontae Adams. I can't even imagine if he had Tyreek Hill. And then I think Travis Kelce, I know you're not going to argue with me. Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends of all time.
Yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers had Travis Kelce to beat people up in the middle and Tyreek Hill stretching the defense end zone to end zone, I think that he would be even better than he already is. I think that the talent, and then Andy Reid is one of the best coaches of all time, one of the best offensive coaches. I know he gets knocks on game management, especially in big games. He's made some mistakes.
Deservedly so.
And Mike McCarthy was a really good coach in Green Bay, but I think Andy Reid is way better than Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, not even close.
And if Aaron Rodgers, he's never had a coach of that caliber. Andy Reid would have a field day if he had Aaron Rodgers. He would, like we see Patrick Mahomes. I think Aaron Rodgers is a little bit better than Patrick Mahomes. My 1-2 are pretty close. I have no knock on either of these guys. Honestly, I had to look at that long and hard to decide 1-2. I just put Aaron Rodgers number 1 because of the mental ability, which I think is extremely important. I think he plays the game more mentally sound than Patrick Mahomes. At this point, Patrick Mahomes is more physically gifted. In their primes, I think Aaron Rodgers would be pretty close to his equal. But I think going into next season, Aaron Rodgers to me is the back-to-back defending MVP. He won't get it this year without Devontae Adams. I still think he'll play extremely well. I look for the Packers to run the ball more. They have two very talented running backs. Like you said, they have a much improved defense. The Packers will look different this year, but they'll still be a very good team. I saw Colin Coward said they were nowhere near playoff caliber. I disagree.
Yeah. Well, look, I have Patrick as my number one quarterback. Didn't even missed an eye. Look, I think Aaron Rodgers is more of a diva than Patrick Mahomes is, and just as much as you knock Patrick Mahomes for what you say as playing for the flashy play and being egotistical over playing to win, which I think, look, is he a little bit cocky? Yeah, he is. Have you seen Aaron Rodgers? He is very cocky. Aaron Rodgers he can try and make a play. He often doesn't because he wants to keep his efficiency. So he'd rather throw the ball out of bounds or purposely throw it as an incompletion to keep his efficiency up because he doesn't want to risk a turnover. So often he misses plays that he can make that he should that might actually help him win games. So just as much as Patrick Mahomes, you ding him for apparently wanting to make a fat flashy play over the fundamental play, I'm going to ding Aaron Rodgers for trying to be too efficient and keep the stats up for efficiency over actually making a play that can help his team win. Because he's been to the NFC Championship twice in the last 3 years and has fallen flat on his face. Whereas Patrick Mahomes has been to the AFC Championship 3 times in the past 3 years and only lost one of them.
So I hear what you're saying about Aaron Rodgers. I think where you're dinging him, I think is an improvement over Patrick Mahomes. You live to play another down. When you're Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes, if you can, could Aaron Rodgers risk it and put the ball up for grabs on some of those plays where he's running out of the pocket, he's under pressure? He could, or he can, he has trusted his defense and it has not worked out well for him on several occasions, but it has worked out for him on several occasions with game-winning drives. I'd be interested to see how many game-winning drives Aaron Rodgers has had in his career because it's probably a ridiculous amount. I think throwing the ball away is sometimes a smart play. And depending on the in-game situation of whether or not, like, obviously, if you're not going to get the ball back, throw the ball down the field.
I
But
agree.
I think that what he does is far better than what Patrick Mahomes does, which is I think he forces the ball or he just runs backwards. I can't believe like that baffled me in that game. You talked about Aaron Rodgers falling flat in his face, but I'm curious what his quarterback rating is here. So in the
NFC
last 2
Championship games?
years, well, in his last 5 playoff games, his quarterback rating, well, so this last year he had 121 quarter. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong numbers. I do apologize. That was his first playoff game. Yeah, my point just went mute because he had a 91.9 quarterback rating, which isn't terrible. But the 2 years before that, he had 104.4, 104.9. I still think that he is talented. I will give you that argument that I think Patrick Mahomes has outplayed Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
I think
I'll
you
give you
should
that.
take and accept the argument that Patrick Mahomes is not the biggest reason why they don't win more. It was obviously the defense. In 2018, was it Patrick Mahomes' fault that we lost in the AFC Championship? No, it was the defense. It was D Ford freaking lining up offsides. It was the defense allowing almost 30 points per game. 2020, they allow what? 23 points per game. They win the Super Bowl. 2019, they allow 23 points per game. They win the Super Bowl. 2020, they're still reverting back to their old ways of allowing lots of points and lots of yards. So we lose the Super Bowl. An offensive line, 5 injured starters on the offensive line, we lose the Super Bowl. I think if I put Aaron Rodgers on the Chiefs, would he win a Super Bowl? Yeah, he probably would. He's that good, and our team was that good on offense. But if I put Patrick Mahomes, knowing everything he knows, just as Aaron Rodgers, on the Packers of the past 3 years, I guarantee he at least gets to the Super Bowl, where Aaron Rodgers couldn't even do that. Because in the NFC Championship, he did not trust anyone except for Devontae Adams. And so he'd rather throw the ball out of bounds. Yeah, live to die, live to play another down. Well, I'm sorry, you eventually run out of downs, and you eventually can't score points. And I'm not going to fault Patrick Mahomes for going Brett Favre on everyone because he's not trying to be flashy. He's trying to win. And it's unfortunate that the ball goes through him every time because he's going to get this shtick put on him. Yeah, sometimes he's flashy. He can't help it. He's that talented. I'm not gonna diminish his game in that area because I want him to keep playing the way that he is, and so does Andy Reid. Andy Reid tells him, "Be yourself. Play like yourself. Don't play like anyone else." So it's kind of, yeah, the argument putting him Aaron Rodgers on the Chiefs, great argument. I guarantee they would win a Super Bowl, but I think the Chiefs Patrick Mahomes would at least get to one with the Packers in the last 3 years, where Aaron Rodgers has not been to a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. So I feel like that kind of cancels each other out. But this is an invigorating debate, Dylan. You've
It's
made some
good.
excellent arguments. I'm
As
definitely
he
not
do.
mad that Aaron Rodgers is your number one. I'm just irritated by what you said. The shots you took at my boy Patrick.
They are shots not to put him down, but to help him grow. If he listens to the things that I say, Patrick, I hope he doesn't, honestly, because I am hoping my dream job is actually currently to work for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Me too.
But as of this very moment, I am not employed by the Kansas City Chiefs, so therefore I'm going to keep rooting for the Eagles, and I don't want to see Patrick Mahomes make the right become Tom Brady mentally or Peyton Manning mentally because he'll be unstoppable. I
I
just
agree.
think like this list is about who's the best quarterback going into next year. And the best thing we can look at for next year is what happened most recently, which was last year. Aaron Rodgers on the Chiefs, they beat Cincinnati in the AFC Championship. I firmly believe that. I think Patrick Mahomes he still had a good game, but I think it was one of his worst games of his career in terms of taking like ridiculously deep sacks. I've never seen him do it to that extent, and it was time and time again. The offensive line was having trouble protecting him. Uh, I think Patrick Mahomes, like, I don't like to get way too far ahead of myself. I'm not going to say Patrick Mahomes. No, he'll never catch Tom Brady. No one's ever going to catch Tom Brady, in my opinion. But Patrick Mahomes, like, I would be completely shocked if he does not end his career as a top 10 quarterback and quite possibly top 5 as of right now. So I think Patrick Mahomes is amazing. I do think I think right now I've got Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and they're pretty close. And then there's a little bit larger of a gap, but still not great of a gap down to Joe Burrow because I like Joe Burrow a lot. Watching him play last year, I'm like, his confidence level is out of this world, and he was playing with one of the worst offensive lines. They couldn't stop anybody. The most sack quarterback this year. I can't remember how many he took, like 50 some odd sacks this year. Is outrageous. And then in the playoffs, they gave up 4 sacks a game going to in the games before the Super Bowl. And then the Super Bowl, I think he got sacked 6 times at least. Like he is running for his life every play, and he still put up the numbers he did.
Yep.
I do think part of that has to do with Jamar Chase, who I said going into the draft when he got drafted last year, I wanted the Eagles to get him so bad. Because I said he reminds me of the next Calvin Johnson. That was my comp for him. I think he is phenomenal. He may be one of the best wide receivers of all time. I'm going to say that already. That's another hot take. I think he'll finish his career unless if I hope he does not get injured. I don't want anyone to get injured. Even the Dallas Cowboys. Never root for an injury. But I think if Jamar Chase stays healthy, he could potentially be top 5 wide receiver of all time. So he's going to help Joe Burrow. But I don't think that just any quarterback could go in and do what Joe Burrow does with that team. I would be curious to see how many quarterbacks would succeed under that level of pressure. Because look at Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl a few years ago,
Yep.
the pressure he was under against the Buccaneers. And now, not only pressure, his talented receiving core was also dropping the ball in that game. But Patrick Mahomes, I dare say, looks more flustered by the pass rush than Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow has only played 1 full season. I think his trajectory is pointing straight up, and I think that he will be nipping on the heels of Patrick Mahomes this year because of I think the Bengals offense got significantly better, and I think the Chiefs offense, I won't say significantly got worse, but it got worse. And so I think that this year you're going to start hearing arguments of, is Joe Burrow the best quarterback in the league? And I think pure talent wise right now, I'd say he's number 3. You see right there. But the argument will come. Mark my words.
It's already
You're gonna
come.
hear that. You're gonna hear that
It's
time
already
and again.
I've I will say this. Look, by the end of next year, I fully expect Joe Burrow. I expect this sort of hierarchy: Patrick, Josh, Justin, Joe. I think they'll be the top 4 quarterbacks by the end of next year. I do think it is very possible Joe Burrow wins MVP next year. That seems well within the realm of possibility. I would be willing to put money on that possibly. But almost everything you said there, I agree with, and I think is correct. But you know what? It's enough of us talking. We want to hear from you. There's a lot of people we left on off this list. I was actually kind of worried that Dylan would have someone on the list that I left off, like Lamar Jackson or Kirk Cousins, uh, Kyler Murray. There's a lot of people we left off, which was really shocking to me. So if you think our lists are stupid, go ahead and say in comments. Tell us how bad and wrong we were. You can follow us on a bunch of different mediums. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Our podcast is on Anchor. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts. We're all over the place, and we put
Spotify.
content everywhere. What's that?
Spotify.
Spotify. Yeah, we upload our stuff to Spotify as well. Follow us any of there. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. That'll let you know anytime we post content, which we most definitely will. You can also subscribe to us on Anchor. You can also subscribe to us on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So anytime that we release new content, you'll get a notification from both of those mediums.
And I would like to remind you guys, we've said it before. I put in a video on Facebook several months ago. Get in these comments and tell us, like, what do you want us to talk about? Like, because I want to shout somebody out next episode. I want someone to give us a great comment, tell us what you want to hear, and we'll discuss that. We'll give you, if you want, we'll shout you out by name, and we'll say, and we'll discuss and we'll debate your topic on this show for everyone to see. So get in the comments. Like, we're excited. We want to interact with you guys. You're why we do this. We don't do this just so. If Christian and I just wanted to debate back and forth, I'd call him on the phone. But we put
Right.
this out there for you guys to entertain you and hopefully to inform you. We hope you take something away from our show. But so throw something out there in the comments, and we will definitely talk about it next show.
That's right. We hope you've had a good week. We hope you enjoy listening to this. This has been another episode of Dueker Sports.